state regime media known as Fox is in an absolute panic over Donald Trump's destruction, disasters, and overall chaos. I want to show you a moment yesterday where the Fox host was speaking to Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary McLaughlin, who went on Fox to announce that Donald Trump is tacoing on his taco. Let me explain to you what that means. Donald Trump said that he would be reversing course on the ICE raids against the restaurant workers and the farms and the hotel workers and the factory workers and the Home Depot parking lots. Do you remember he made that announcement about a week and a half ago? Well, now he's reversing course on that, which was reversing course on going after the hardworking migrants here in the United States. And now his Department of Homeland Security Secretary McLaughlin said, nope, Donald Trump never said that. We're going after all of the migrants because essentially they're all criminals. That's what we've always said. And watch as the Fox host looks at the Trump official like, what the hell are you even talking about? Here, watch this.
He talked about have had employees who in some cases have been with them 20, 25 years. And he said, that's a difficult situation. And that's, not necessarily who they want to focus on. Can you talk to us about this sort of evolving policy and effort here?
Absolutely, Martha, and thank you for having me. Yeah, there's not been a change in posture. We can continue to enforce the law. Our worksite enforcement operations are really tip of the spear to getting these criminal illegal aliens out of our country. There is no safe harbor if you are in this country illegally. And our message remains, if you're here illegally, you should self-deport now. The U.S. taxpayer is so generously offering...
But hold on a second, Tricia, because I just want to go back. He says we can't take farmers and all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have. He's talking about their documentation. So how is that not, a bit of a shift? He's saying he wants to focus on the cities, but that certain areas, farms and hotels, he doesn't necessarily want to focus. It sounds like he thinks it's okay if some of them have been there for a long time and their employers have a good relationship with them.
Martha, I don't know if you and viewers saw the president's Truth Social last night, where he doubled down and clarified that we will not be deterred by these violent rioters, and we will continue to carry out the mandate that the American people gave the president in the last election. The mandate from the American people is there will be mass arrests, there will be mass deportations, and we will remove violent criminal aliens from this country. Just in the last 72 hours in LA itself, we've arrested drug traffickers, we've arrested known gang members, we've arrested convicted murderers. These are the worst.
No, it's clear that is the focus, that he wants to, he's talked about the cities, he's talked about, we all saw people getting off airplanes and getting off buses and all of that. And it's clear that is continuing, but it sounds like the focus is shifting a little bit to keep the heat on these urban cities. He said blue sanctuary cities, but maybe take it off farmers and hotels a little bit, correct?
We will continue to enforce the law and continue to have worksite enforcement, Martha. That's not a question. Those are not on pause.
Now, we have to come with receipts here on the MeidasTouch network. So you take a look at what Donald Trump's post was so you can see it for yourself. Donald Trump posted the following last week. Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them, with those jobs being almost impossible to replace. In many cases, the criminals allowed into our country by the very stupid Biden open borders policy are applying for those jobs. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming. So people said, okay, I guess you're tacoing. Trump always chickens out of your policy going after the farmers and the restaurant workers. Today, you had Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security, probably because Donald Trump was so utterly humiliated by the No Kings protests and by his disastrous dictator parade, go on TV and say the opposite. Carol Lenning over at Washington Post says the following. This was the article. Scoop. Trump officials reverse course, now telling agents Keep raiding farms and hotels for immigrants. ICE is told White House wants higher numbers. And again, that's being inspired, I think, by the fact that Donald Trump was just entirely embarrassed by no kings and just how pathetic his dictator parade was. From the Washington Post, they go, Trump officials reverse guidance exempting farms, hotels from immigration raids. ICE agents have been advised to continue conducting workforce enforcement operations on agriculture businesses, despite concerns the raids will negatively affect the food industry. So that was one moment on Fox I wanted to share. The next moment, Fox brings on John Thune. Who's John Thune? He's the Senate Majority Leader. Now, a bipartisan group called the Committee for a Responsible Budget came out with a report yesterday saying that the disastrous Trump budget bill, let's not get distracted. Let's not forget about the disastrous Trump budget bill. It will add exactly what I predicted, 3 months ago, 4 months ago? Remember my prediction? Go back and watch. $15 trillion will be added to the debt. I thought it would be $15 to $25 trillion. So this nonpartisan group comes out, $15 trillion will be added. So Fox has to ask John Thune, the MAGA Republican Senate Majority Leader, and take a listen to the word salad this guy spews. And then again, you have the Fox host like, huh? Here, play this clip.
Well, Rand Paul says he won't vote for it unless it has a debt ceiling requirement in it. Then today you have the Committee for a Responsible Budget coming out and saying that it, in its current form as written, it will add $15 trillion to the debt. We're already at $37 trillion. What do you say to people who look at that and say, I thought we were going in the other direction? What happened to a more responsible budget?
Well, we are, and this will reduce the deficit, not increase it. And the reason for that is, one, we are going to have the biggest spending reduction in history. But secondly, all the other things I mentioned, Martha, are going to generate growth in the economy. And when the economy is growing and expanding and people are investing, you get more government revenue. And the standard rule of thumb is for about 1% increase in GDP, in growth in the economy, you get about $3 trillion of additional tax revenue. So the goal here is pro-growth policies that will get the economy growing and expanding, coupled with more fiscal austerity, fiscal responsibility. There'll be $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion in spending cuts in here, biggest spending reduction in America, in American history. And I think those two things together will mean that we will be reducing and getting that deficit trending down instead of trending up. What a lot of those folks don't do is they don't take into consideration what happens when you put pro-growth policies in place. And that is you get economic growth and you get more government revenue.
Yeah,
so
they score,
most of them are using static models.
They score without taking into account the growth side of the equation. And we've seen that for a long time. We'll see.
So then after these disastrous appearances of Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary and the MAGA Republican Majority Leader, bring on Eric Trump. And what was Eric Trump talking about? That the Trump family, they're out with a new grift, a new product that they'll be selling in September. The Trump mobile phones. Yep, they're selling bizarre looking gold phones. And the Trump family is there to go on Fox to promote their latest grift. They've got their Fox viewers, their mark. Eric Trump, you humiliate yourself, the Trump regime, and America even more. Here, play this clip.
This morning, you've got an announcement on a new phone. Tell me about that and what you're looking to, quote unquote, correct here.
Yeah. Well, Maria, more and more we're using technology as a company, right, to correct the problems. Obviously, Truth Social was to correct freedom of speech, right? I mean, he lost his throughout the political process. Obviously, crypto, and we got the biggest projects in crypto, was to correct another problem, which is the fact that they were debanking all conservatives. I was the most canceled person probably in the history of the country. And now we're doing Trump Mobile, and Trump Mobile is going to revolutionize cell phones, mobile calling. We're going to do it better. We're going to do it safer. We're going to have more functionality, more features. And the coolest thing about all these ventures is we're doing it right here in the United States. You're not calling up call centers in Bangladesh. You're doing it right out of St. Louis, Missouri, and you're going to have phones that are made right here in the United States of America, and it's going to be cheaper, $47 a month. You're going to have more international dialing for free, hundreds of countries, international dialing for free. It is the biggest bang for the buck, and we're really excited to get into the space. I mean, when you take kind of technology, obviously real estate's always been our bread and butter, but when you take the technology world between the social platforms, the actual hard devices, which is really what Trump Mobile is, and then kind of the true retail banking, CeFi, DeFi, worlds of cryptocurrency, which is no question where the world is going. I really believe we're going to have one of the great kind of tech platforms as part of the Trump organization of any company in the world. And I couldn't be more proud of Trump Mobile.
By the way, I saw a number of investigative journalists call up the phone number for Trump Mobile. They said it was like the worst customer service ever. They say that this phone is like an impossible thing to even make, and it just looks utterly ridiculous. It seems more of just the Trump scams. Didn't Trump have a whole lawsuit against him that he had to resolve like decades ago over phones? And then just think about all like the tchotchkes that Donald Trump sells, right? Donald Trump sold the Trump steaks and the Trump water and the Trump airplanes and the Trump University and all of those Trump properties that went out of business, and the Trump businesses went bankrupt over and over and over again. All right. So now cue in though the warmongering. You've got the kind of Fox, utter disbelief and panic. Then they cue in the warmongering. They bring in like a random Fox guest who goes, Netanyahu and Donald Trump, they should be receiving a Nobel Peace Prize for the war going on in the Middle East right now. They should get a peace prize for war. Play this clip.
A White House official is telling us, and we heard some wind of this earlier today, that President Trump will not sign the G7 joint statement that was expected to call for Israel and Iran to de-escalate, and that President Trump will continue to work towards ensuring Iran cannot obtain a nuclear weapon. What do you read into that, Lizzie?
I think it's amazing. I think that this is exactly what we need, is America and Israel together holding hands. And frankly, I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump should be receiving a Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts here, because this is going to change the entire face of the Middle East, but they are also saving the entire Western world from nuclear disaster. And I think, it's exactly what we want to see, this team aligned, and they're not going to they're not going to leave until the job is done.
Then they bring on, or Maria Bartiromo brings on Dan Crenshaw, and Dan Crenshaw says, there were so many people at the dictator parade. There were so many people. It was a left-wing lie that there was nobody there. Dude, we showed every angle of the thing. It was a lame parade. It was horrible. Very few people showed up. It was low energy. Donald Trump looked like he was going to cry. It was just bad. Just say it was bad. It was horrible. It was really bad. And then we can move on. But that's not what they do on regime media. Play this clip.
Everybody calm down, have fun. There was a ton of people there. That was another left-wing lie.
Yeah.
Right? They were focused on bleachers that were right next to where we were sitting.
I love the way the president handled it, because, Congressman, he put out a tweet. He writes, a huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place. But thanks to your tireless efforts, I am still your president. Great job, all. President had fun with that.
Then you have Pete Hegseth go on Fox, and Pete Hegseth, while Israel and Iran are at war, and Israel is saying that America needs to join it officially in a war against Iran, and Israel saying America's already involved. Donald Trump's not denying it. Donald Trump was making posts last night. Everybody evacuate Tehran immediately. All 9 million people evacuate. Donald Trump fled from the G7 where he was with our allies. He wouldn't even stay for today where he's meeting with Zelensky. I mean, just how utterly pathetic is that? I showed you the clip of Hegseth, right?
So the deal is still on the table, but all options are on the table from what it sounds like. What does that look like? What it looks like right now is we're vigilant. We're prepared, and we've messaged consistently from the beginning that we're in the region to defend our people and our assets. And Israel took an action out of self-defense. We believe that Iran, as President has said from the beginning, should not have a nuclear weapon. That position hasn't changed. They can give it up peacefully. That position hasn't changed. And as a result, right now, we've got assets in the region and we're going to defend them. And we're going to be strong in the process. So, people are reading into a lot of aspects right now. We're strong. We're prepared. We're defensive. And President Trump hopes, there can be peace.
All right.
So then you have, I just want to share with you what so that's Hegseth. So you have Hegseth, Donald Trump's defense secretary, a former Fox host. But here's what Donald Trump's director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, said less than 90 days ago when she was speaking in Congress under oath. She said the intelligence community continues to assess that Iran is not building nuclear weapons and that the supreme leader has not authorized the nuclear weapons program since 2003. Here, play this clip.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
And again, that's just coming from Trump's own director of national intelligence. So you have Hegseth saying one thing, the director of national intelligence saying the other. You have Donald Trump posting evacuate Tehran immediately. You have Donald Trump saying that somebody please explain to Cookie Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. You have Candace Owens, right-wing influencer, saying Donald Trump just completely fractured the base by supporting war in the Middle East. And he did it for the very neocons who minted the Never Trump movement. Truly unbelievable. You've got Trump tacoing on the taco when it comes to raiding agriculture. I mean, just think about everything that's going on there. And then you've got Fox. What the hell are they even doing? Anyway, I want to show you what's going on. Hit subscribe here. Let's get to 5 million subscribers.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.